Go.
Tonight, Iran's leaders are getting a new, powerful message of defiance from those willing to risk their lives for reform. Protesters hit the streets today with chants like "Death to the dictator." The question now is, are the Ayatollahs facing a growing storm that could turn into an outright uprising? I'll talk to Fareed Zakaria, the host of CNN's Fareed Zakaria GPS, but first our reporter Reza Saad gives us a first-hand look at the protest.
At this time last year, ripping down the picture of Iran's supreme leader in public would have been almost unthinkable. Not only did protesters tear down Ayatollah Khamenei's poster, they wiped their feet on it too. The dramatic video clip was among scores posted on YouTube and social networking sites on a day Iran's opposition movement made a defiant comeback to the streets. Outside the former U.S. Embassy building in Tehran, the Iranian government held its annual anti-American rally. Tens of thousands of government supporters showed up and chanted "Death to America." But as they've done since the disputed election, the opposition movement tried to disrupt and hijack the rally by showing up in huge numbers too. Just a few blocks away from the pro-government rally, opposition supporters chanted "Death to the dictator." Others called on U.S. President Barack Obama for support. "Obama," they chanted, "you are either with us or with them."
Fareed Zakaria joining us right now, and Fareed, you just saw those images. Protesters chanting "Death to Khamenei." How, I guess, are these protesters really a threat to the government?
Well, what's clear now, Campbell, is that when those events took place after the election, the protests and things like that, many of us were saying this is very important because it cracks the legitimacy of the regime. That's the really big thing here, which is nobody had dared to ever question the legitimacy of the regime. What you see now is the culmination of that. As you say, to say "Death to the dictator," to walk on his photographs, to tear down his posters, this can't be put back together. Now, how long can it last? This is a very repressive regime. They use the repression.
It's already lasted 30 years.
It's already lasted 30 years, and they have both guns and money. You see, because of the oil revenues, they both have a very strong paramilitary police force, but they also bribe people. So they have some support that is gotten through patronage and things like that. So this can last for a while, but there is a kind of internal decay that has set in that is very difficult to reverse.
You also heard the reporter there say that some of the protesters were chanting, "Obama, you're either with us or with them." And the president did issue a statement late last night saying that Iran must choose between the past and the future. But in your opinion, is that enough?
I think he could probably find a way of being a somewhat more supportive of the aspirations of the Iranian people. It's a very delicate balance.
How? What can he do to be more engaged?
I think more than just, one sentence, maybe a paragraph, maybe something that talks about the universal aspirations of people and how he hopes that Iran, if it wants to enter the modern world, understands that it is important to recognize these aspirations. But remember, when in 1956, Hungary had an uprising, in 68, Czechoslovakia had one, Poland had one. Every time the United States faces this very difficult problem. If you say too much and you're not really able to deliver, you're not going to send troops in to decapitate a regime, people say, you encourage these forces and then they got gunned down, then they got jailed. If you do nothing, people feel like you're being passive. So it's a delicate balance, but I would have shaded it 2 steps more than Obama did.
Let me go forward a little more on this and bring us up to speed on where we stand on the nuclear negotiations, because last month it seemed like there was a draft deal, and then all of a sudden you have the Ayatollah out there slamming President Obama and rejecting the notion of negotiations with the U.S. What is really going on?
What's really going on is that at heart, this regime needs a confrontational posture with the West. At the 30th revolution anniversary, let's remember, this regime was founded as an oppositional movement to the United States, to the West. It was founded to isolate Iran, to take it out of the modern world. So it was sort of, this is the basis of the regime. They're having a lot of difficulty figuring out whether they can find a way to negotiate with the West, to re-enter the world without undermining that core idea. I mean, death to America is not just a chant for them, it is their kind of, declaration of independence. And so they have to kind of unwind all that. I don't know, Khamenei is clearly not there. Many of the people of the ruling elite are not there, and yet they see that Iran, they need to move somehow because the regime is cracking, it's divided, there is, a dissatisfied population. I think it points out that the real issue between U.S.-Iranian relations lies in Tehran, not in Washington. They haven't made up their minds that they want to re-enter the modern world. At some level, we're spectators. We're watching what they decide.
And it's still happening on the ground, as we saw today. Fareed Zakaria, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
فرید زکریا خدا.